Hello, how are you? So, I wanted to talk about, um, kind of a variety of connected issues. Mainly about the use of certain words that you'll hear people using in kind of alternative spirituality, be it the New Age or meditation or Western Buddhism. We're talking about words like quantum or mindfulness or loving kindness um, or other certain things like that. I just wanted to say, just because someone uses certain words like those, it it doesn't make it spirituality. Just like if someone dresses in a certain way, you dress up in a toga or in a lungi or in some kind of Tibetan robe, or if you wave around a crystal, that doesn't make it spirituality. In fact, a lot of times it makes it the opposite of that. It makes it spiritual consumerism. That is, spiritual consumerism as a collection of objects and talking points and fashion that people who don't actually want to engage in hard work can use as a substitute for engaging in the process of self-transformation. So uh, people demand this, and then there are frauds, intentional or not, who provide it. There's this kind of business transaction that happens where you have this farcical appearance of a spiritual product where people are giving money or time or something of themselves to feel a little good about themselves without having to actually change. And other people are providing that for them. Sometimes neither side actually realizing that they're both in some way defrauding themselves and each other. Now, you hear this word quantum used a lot in New Age, right? Or other pseudoscientific terms. And enlightenment has nothing to do with scientific theory for the most part. People use these words to get this kind of claim of scientific validity, right? But actual cultivation teaching doesn't need to rely on any kind of false claims of scientific validity because it doesn't need validation from authority, certainly not from scientific authority or from any other authority really, because it doesn't need you to believe anything. It just needs you to get off your ass and change. But, New Age authors need you to believe all kinds of things, so you'll keep buying their books or their therapies that don't actually do anything, because they don't actually want you to change. They want you to feel spiritual while not actually doing a damn thing about your inner awareness, right? So if you're engaging in a genuine spiritual practice, you don't need to have a belief and you don't need to feel validated because you do the practice and the practice changes you, right? But if you're doing some kind of a New Age practice or one of these practices that are essentially spiritual consumerism, then the belief is the only thing that generates anything, right? So you think, you feel a bit better because you're convinced yourself that the quantum mechanics of the crystal waving theory or whatever is making you be super spiritual, right? But you're not actually doing anything to change. Now, how does this relate to the I Ching? Well, the I Ching makes it really clear that the fundamental argument of a lot of the fraudulent movements, which is to say that argument that we can create our own reality, that with just enough good intentions or enough positive thinking or the secret or whatever, we can make reality what we want it to be. The I Ching makes it explicitly clear that this isn't true. We do not create our own reality. Reality is this force of space and time that we have to try to navigate along. We don't get to decide that it's suddenly going to be different. And you know, that, and then suddenly it will be just because we've decided that. There are a lot of times, and the I Ching teaches this, that even the very best choice we have is a really shitty choice. And there's nothing that will make it non-shitty. Maybe there are ways to mitigate some of the crappiness of it, but there are many times that are explained by the I Ching where you're in a situation and there isn't some magic bullet that's going to change that situation. There are plenty of times where you have in the text of the I Ching, it says something like disaster but no blame, right? Whenever it says that, whenever it says there's a problem and it says no blame, it means that there's something going very wrong, but it's not to do with anything you can change. There are some times when things are going wrong and you can change things, which requires work to change things to make it better. And there are other times where things are just not going the way you would like them to go. And there's no way to change that because you aren't to blame for it. It's just that there's something that's happening. And what you have to do is accept that or work within that or what have you, right? There's no time at all where there's something going wrong and you're going to be able to get out of it without having to do some kind of work. And by work, I mean some kind of change, right? Because there's no way to just avoid the problem because we do not create our own reality. Delusional people think they create their reality, but all they're actually doing is making this kind of little bubble of effort that they're putting into something. They're putting their chi into maintaining this delusion around themselves that at first might seem to work because you have a certain amount of personal energy. You put that energy, that chi or what have you, into this effort to try to deny reality. And it looks like things are happening because you can deny reality for a certain amount of time. But sooner or later, the force of reality, which is so much bigger than you are, is going to overwhelm that. It takes more and more effort. The further you get from what is actually real, the more and more effort that it takes to be able to overcome that counter current of reality and keep up your little fantasies. So sooner or later, you just don't have enough personal force, enough ki to keep it up, and then disaster happens, right? In my book, in The Magician's I Ching, I have a section that says the I Ching is not about you. The I Ching, for people to really understand it, it even tells us fundamentally that the I Ching is not about you. I could even say reality is not about you. It's not about what you want or getting your own way. It's not a movie where you're the star. This notion, which I call self-referencing, it's this self-referencing notion. It's a poison that cultivation practice is supposed to help you get rid of. If you can understand that everything that you are doing doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what you think you want or what you deserve, but it has to do with something bigger than you, and tapping into that thing that's bigger than you, not so you can get your way, but so you can be part of that thing, and in that way overcome your smallness and become vast. And it won't have anything to do with you getting what you think you want right now. It has to do with you changing into being something bigger than you are. For you to make that change, you have to not be worried about getting what you think you want. You have to not be worried about being the center of your own little universe. You have to realize that you are not the point. And so spiritual consumerism is all about convincing you that you don't need to do that. You can just be in the center of your own little fantasy world, right? And genuine cultivation is all about telling you that you have to burst that bubble and you have to look into a different way, a way that involves overcoming yourself rather than doubling down on being the center of your little universe. I guess that's everything for today. If you found this video interesting, then please check out my other videos and my playlists and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Feel free to share this video anywhere you like and comment if you like. And if you're interested in more of the teachings and pursuing the teachings on a deeper level, then feel free to contact me about joining the Yi Fa Society. Thank you very much.